This is the original judge in the Casey Anthony case. Judge Stan Strickland is joining us tonight exclusively from Orlando. Your Honor, thank you for joining us very much. The first thing I really want to ask you, there has been a lot of controversy with you speaking out on this show, on the trial, and I just want to ask you, obviously it appears as though you can do it. Are you violating any judicial canons by talking about this case?
No, I don't think so, and I didn't come on originally or now to criticize the jury. What I said to Nancy Grace shortly after the verdict was that I was surprised by it. I was surprised. I don't see any problem in saying that. I'm still surprised. And by the way, the menu is fairly small. Either you're surprised or you weren't. And I was surprised by the verdict. The jury is free to do whatever they did, and they had their reasons for doing so. I've got to say, since I've heard some of the commentary by the jury post-verdict, I guess I'm even a little bit more surprised. But I'm not criticizing them. They gave 8 weeks of their life. They don't have to agree with me or any other judge. I see no harm at all in saying I was surprised.
All right, we got that out of the way. Now I want to ask you about this interview by Dr. Phil with George and Cindy, and I think the shocker is really Cindy, because as it kept going this afternoon, we heard, as George Anthony says, rationalizing. I think a lot of people just wanted to strangle her, Judge.
Yeah, it appeared that way. First of all, I don't watch much of the daytime TV, and I haven't seen much of this, but I think Dr. McGraw did a real nice job with this interview. I thought he was tactful, and I thought he had a deft touch in pulling information out of these folks that nobody else could quite do. But even with his deft touch, he couldn't quite get Cindy to admit anything that was meaningful. So I don't know that any of us learned anything. I can't help but feel sorry for them. I still do. In the interview, you could see the cop come out in George.
Judge Stan Strickland joining us exclusively tonight, the first judge in the Casey Anthony murder trial. Judge, when you hear Cindy Anthony say this and many other things, do you feel it's genuine? Does she believe with her heart and her soul that it was an accident, that Casey bears no responsibility?
Unfortunately, I think she is genuine. And the essence of what she had to say was that God set her daughter free, and I would just beg to differ. A jury set her daughter free, and a friend of mine says God lives in Pinellas County, so maybe there's some substance to that. And I don't know what to say. I feel for her. I know she's in pain. I want to like her. I can't. I don't dislike her. From the very beginning, I've just always felt like she was a lost ball in high weed.
Judge Strickland, it was brought up in the interview today about the jurors not believing the demeanor of George Anthony on the stand, not feeling that he had the credibility as that witness to be believable. George Anthony's response was that he felt that it was a smear campaign against him to try to get Casey Anthony acquitted. Why do you think the jurors didn't believe George Anthony? I sat in that trial. I heard every bit of evidence. I thought he was extremely credible.
He was. Most of what he said made perfect sense, and if you associated his testimony with the videos of him, especially the one where I think he was discussing a missing Kaylee with Casey while at the jail, and she was telling him about, I couldn't have asked for a better father, I do not know how the jury could have looked at that tape and arrived at their conclusion that he was somehow there and had something to do with it. Let me again preface that, or actually follow up by saying I'm not criticizing them. They saw what they saw, they felt what they felt, and that is their job, and it's not my position to ridicule them for it. I just don't get it, and normally when an attorney makes promises in opening statement that he doesn't keep, generally, and Mr. Schaefer can back me up on this, they're punished severely by the jury later on. If you make promises that you don't keep, if you say you're going to prove something that you don't prove, and then you don't do it, you get a swift kick for that, And that didn't happen here. There never was any evidence, literally not one shred of evidence, that George had anything to do or was anywhere near a drowning or the hiding of the body. That came an opening statement, and not one witness or word was advanced in support of that. So I'm not able to square what the jurors had to say post-verdict with what their thinking was. And again, that's fine. They thought what they thought. They did what they did. I just don't quite understand it.